Ladies and gentlemen, today I invite you to pause just for a moment and become aware of this very breath, this very heartbeat, this very second of your existence. In a world that never stops moving, where the mind is constantly distracted and the senses overstimulated, we forget the very essence of what it means to be present. Alertness is often misunderstood as simply being awake or physically responsive, but in its deeper sense, it refers to a state of heightened mental and sensory engagement. It is the inner readiness that enables an individual to notice subtle changes in their environment and respond with immediacy and clarity. In a world filled with distractions and constant noise, alertness functions as a guardian of consciousness, helping us filter through what is important and what it is. This very ability that distinguishes passive existence from active living. When we are alert, we do not let life simply happen to us. We engage with it, interpret it, and act with purpose. This proactive attention extends far beyond our immediate surroundings. It begins internally. True alertness means becoming attuned to the signals of our own body and mind. It is noticing the moment fatigue begins to creep in, recognizing the onset of stress, or sensing when inspiration sparks. By tuning into these subtle cues, we are better able to make choices that serve our well-being. Many people operate on autopilot, reacting habitually to situations without fully realizing why. Alertness invites us to break that cycle by pausing, observing, and consciously deciding how to proceed. It is an intentional state that requires both effort and practice. In professional life, alertness can be the difference between success and stagnation. Consider a workplace environment where decisions must be made quickly and errors carry significant consequences. A person who is alert will notice the early signs of a problem before it escalates. They will catch inconsistencies in data, pick up on team dynamics, and sense opportunities that others might miss. This level of perception gives them an edge. It allows them to lead, to anticipate, and to adapt swiftly. In creative fields too, alertness fuels innovation. It allows the mind to connect ideas from different contexts, to notice the beauty in small details, and to remain sensitive to inspiration that might come from the most unexpected places. On a social level, alertness strengthens our relationships. Being alert in a conversation doesn't just mean hearing the words. It means observing body language, tone, and pauses. It means noticing what someone isn't saying, understanding emotional undercurrents, and responding with empathy and presence. Many conflicts arise from a lack of such attention, from a failure to really see and hear the other person present. When we are alert, we create space for deeper connection and trust. It shows that we care enough to be fully present, to engage not just with words, but with our whole awareness. One of the greatest challenges to maintaining alertness today is the digital overload we experience. Our attention is constantly under siege, from social media notifications to endless entertainment and breaking news. Each ping and scroll chips away at our capacity to focus. Over time, we become desensitized, inattentive, and mentally fragmented. Reclaiming alertness then becomes a radical act of self. It requires boundaries, stillness, and a commitment to single succoring. Practices like meditation, deep breathing, and conscious breaks from screens help rebuild this lost muscle. Alertness must be cultivated deliberately. It does not thrive in chaos. Ultimately, alertness is not just a mental function, it is a way of honoring life. When we are alert, we acknowledge the significance of each moment. We become capable of detecting the nuances that make life rich. The fleeting smile of a stranger, the instinct to take a different path, the quiet signal of our intuition. These details, often invisible to a distracted mind, become visible to an alert one. In this sharpened state, life reveals itself in greater depth, and we gain the power to respond, not with dull habit, but with intention and clarity. Awareness is more than just noticing what surrounds us. It is the deep, perceptive understanding of how things truly are, both inside and outside of ourselves. It is the conscious act of observing without immediately reacting, allowing us to interpret events, emotions, and experiences with depth. This internal lens shapes how we perceive the world and how we interact with it. Without awareness, we stumble blindly through our days, reacting to situations with little reflection. But with awareness, it is a gift that brings calipto and exists hamid in aware through awareness. But it's plain in gain. Self-centeredness in particular is a foundational element of personal growth. It involves the honest recognition of our thoughts, motivations, desires, fears, and limitations. Many people resist this kind of introspection because it can be uncomfortable to confront parts of ourselves that we would rather avoid. However, the benefits are profound. When we understand what drives our actions and what triggers our emotions, we can begin to make conscious choices rather than acting out of habit or impulse. Self-centeredness helps us break cycles of self-sabotage, improves our emotional intelligence, and empowers us to live more authentically. Awareness also extends outward into our relationships and social dynamics. When we are aware, we are not merely reacting to what people say or do. We are attuned to their emotions, body language, and unspoken needs. This sensitivity allows us to respond with empathy and presence rather than judgment or indifference. Being socially aware fosters compassion, reduces conflict, and deepens the bonds we form with others. It helps us become more respectful and considerate human beings. The more we understand how our actions affect others, the more responsible we become in how we speak, act, and relate. Furthermore, awareness enhances our decision-making abilities. Life constantly presents us with choices. some small, some life-altering. We may be driven by unconscious biases, fears, or external pressures. But an aware person takes a moment to step back, examine their options, and consider the consequences of each path. Examine their options and consider the consequences of each path. This reflective approach often leads to wiser decisions, ones aligned with our long-term goals and values. In this way, awareness acts as an internal compass, guiding us through life's complexities with greater ease and wisdom. In the realm of personal healing and transformation, awareness is indispensable. We cannot heal what we are not aware of. Emotional wounds, limiting beliefs, and negative patterns often operate beneath the surface, subtly influencing our behaviors and choices. Through practices like journaling, meditation, and therapy, we begin to bring these hidden aspects of ourselves into the light. This process of becoming aware does not immediately eliminate the pain, but it marks the beginning of change. Awareness brings us face to face with truth. And truth, while sometimes difficult, is always freeing. Ultimately, awareness allows us to live with purpose. It aligns us with our values, clarifies our priorities, and helps us remain anchored even in the face of chaos. It is the quiet presence within us that asks, what is really happening here and what part am I playing in this? It grants us perspective that others miss and offers insight that transcends surface appearances. In a world where noise is constant and reflection is rare, awareness becomes an invaluable resource, one that not only elevates our individual experience, but also enhances the lives of those around us. Let me know when you're ready for the next one. Mindfulness is the art of conscious presence, the ability to be fully engaged in what is happening right now, with complete attention and without judgment. It is not about emptying the mind or escaping reality. Rather, it is about inhabiting reality fully and openly. In a world that constantly pulls our attention in every direction, toward the future, the past, or the imaginary, mindfulness acts as an anchor, grounding us in the moment we actually live in. The present moment is the only time we truly possess, and mindfulness allows us to experience it in its fullest depth. By being mindful, we stop sleepwalking through life and begin to live it with clarity and purpose. One of the most profound effects of mindfulness is how it transforms mundane experiences into meaningful ones. Drinking a glass of water, for example, becomes more than just quenching thirst. It becomes a sensory moment of gratitude and connection with life. Walking down a street becomes an opportunity to feel the rhythm of your steps, to notice the light on the leaves, or to hear the hum of the world around you. These moments, often overlooked in our rush to the next task or worry, become vivid and enriching. When we bring mindfulness into our everyday activities, we begin to experience a deeper sense of peace and appreciation. Emotionally, mindfulness provides a buffer between stimulus and response. This simple shift in awareness can de-escalate conflicts, improve relationships, and protect our mental well-being. Mindfulness doesn't suppress emotions. It helps us hold space for them without allowing them to overpower us. Mindfulness also enhances focus and concentration, making it an essential tool for productivity and creativity. When our minds are scattered, jumping from one thought to another, we become inefficient and stressed. But mindfulness helps to train the brain to stay on task, to return again and again to the present. Over time, this builds mental endurance and clarity. Whether you are studying, working on a creative project, or simply having a conversation, mindfulness enables you to give your full presence to that activity. This kind of focus not only improves outcomes, but also leads to a deeper sense of fulfillment in what you do. Furthermore, mindfulness has significant benefits for physical health. Research has shown that consistent mindfulness practice can reduce blood pressure, improve sleep, and strengthen the immune system. It also plays a key role in managing chronic pain and reducing the symptoms of anxiety and depression. This is because mindfulness helps to regulate the nervous system and promote relaxation. By simply breathing deeply and focusing attention on the body, we activate the body's natural healing mechanisms. In this way, mindfulness becomes a form of self-care that nourishes both mind and body. Spiritually, mindfulness reconnects us with the essence of being. It helps us remember that we are not our thoughts, not our anxieties, not our fears. We are the observer behind all of it. This awareness cultivates a sense of inner stillness, a quiet place within that is untouched by the external chaos. Whether or not one subscribes to a particular religion or belief system, mindfulness allows for a sacred experience of life. It opens the door to deeper insight, intuition, and connection with something greater than ourselves. In this sense, mindfulness is not just a technique, it is a way of being, a return to our most natural and awakened state. Alertness, awareness, and mindfulness are not isolated qualities that function independently. They are deeply interconnected, forming a triad of mental and emotional strength. Each one feeds into the others, creating a loop of heightened perception and deeper understanding. Alertness activates the senses and primes the mind to notice what's happening. Awareness interprets the meaning of what we perceive. When we develop alertness, we sharpen our ability to detect even the smallest shifts in our environment or inner world. This alertness lays the groundwork for awareness to emerge. For example, noticing a sudden change in someone's facial expression is the first step, being alert. But recognizing that this change may indicate discomfort or sadness requires awareness. And responding to that emotion with empathy and presence requires mindfulness. This entire chain reaction you find your beating essential to smooth operation of the whole. Similarly, awareness helps cultivate mindfulness by bringing clarity and depth to our present moment experience. A person may sit still in silence, but if they are unaware of their thoughts or body sensations, their stillness may not lead to mindfulness. Awareness makes us conscious of what we are feeling, thinking, or doing at any given moment, which allows us to approach it with full presence. Without awareness, mindfulness becomes a hollow practice, but with it, mindfulness becomes rich and transformative. The more we are, the more aware we are, the more easily we can settle into mindfulness. That lemur, that is the question that mindfulness in turn nurtures both alertness and awareness by strengthening our attention span and our ability to observe without judgment. When we practice mindfulness regularly, we train our minds to focus on the here and now. This disciplined focus sharpens our alertness. Because we are no longer lost in thought, we begin to notice more. At the same time, we gain the space to be more aware of our internal landscape, emotions, thoughts, urges as they arise. Mindfulness acts like a quiet, stable platform that supports both alertness and awareness in growing stronger over time. It reinforces them by creating a steady presence from which we can observe life more clearly. This triadic relationship also serves as a powerful tool for personal development and resilience. In challenging situations, alertness keeps us quick and responsive. Awareness helps us understand the dynamics at play both within ourselves and around us. And mindfulness keeps us grounded, calm, and steady amid the storm. Many people fall apart under stress because they lack one or more of these internal supports. But someone who has cultivated all three they act impulsively, they act with composure, they act with clarity and composure. Moreover, practicing these traits together builds a state of conscious living, one in which we are no longer passive participants in our own lives. We become observers, thinkers, and actors, all in one. We notice more, understand more, and experience more fully. This is the essence of living deliberately rather than drifting aimlessly. Each of the three qualities, alertness, awareness, and mindfulness, enhances the others, forming a cycle of deep engagement with life. The stronger they become, the more attuned we are to our purpose, our relationships, and the opportunities that surround us. It is this interdependence that makes the trio so powerful and life-changing. The fast pace and overstimulated nature of modern life has gradually eroded our connection to our inner faculties, alertness, awareness, and mindfulness. In earlier times, people were naturally more connected to their environment and inner world because life moved at a slower, more grounded pace. Today, however, technology, media, and the culture of urgency have created an environment where constant distraction has become the norm. This digital bombardment keeps our attention fragmented and our minds in a perpetual state of overload. Our smartphones, in particular, serve as the primary culprits in this disconnect. Every buzz, ping, or notification pulls us out of the present moment and into a cycle of compulsive checking. This repeated pattern slowly conditions the brain to seek stimulation constantly, making stillness and presence feel uncomfortable or even boring. Instead of being alert to our surroundings, we become tuned into screens. Instead of being aware of our emotions, we bury them beneath endless scrolling. We are quite literally training our attention to experience and expensive experience, and this cultural shift has serious consequences for our mental and emotional well-being. The erosion of alertness can make us sluggish and disengaged, unable to respond effectively in moments that require quick thinking or discernment. A lack of awareness causes us to overlook patterns in our behavior and in our relationships, leading to repeated mistakes and misunderstandings. The absence of mindfulness results in a sense of emptiness. Even when life seems full on the surface, we may be busy, surrounded by information, and constantly stimulated, yet feel profoundly disconnected from ourselves and from others. Moreover, the glorification of busyness adds to the problem. In today's society, being perpetually busy is often mistaken for being productive or important. As a result, people rarely pause to reflect or simply be. There is a constant push to do more, achieve more, and consume more, which leaves little room for introspection. This constant state of doing keeps our minds outward focused and reactive. We become so focused on tasks and timelines that we fail to notice the subtle cues our minds and bodies send us. Our alertness dims, our awareness narrows, and our mindfulness fades into the background. Even our leisure time is no longer a refuge from this cycle of distraction. Streaming services, social media, online games, and endless entertainment options occupy nearly every free moment. The time that could be used for silence, for reflection, or for mindful observation is instead spent in passive consumption. This keeps our attention scattered and prevents us from experiencing the fullness of life. We may consume a vast amount of content, but we are not truly present for any of it. Instead of relaxing and recharging our inner faculties, we exhaust them further. To reclaim alertness, awareness, and mindfulness in the modern age requires deliberate effort. It means consciously unplugging, setting boundaries with technology, and creating spaces of stillness in our daily lives. It requires us to challenge the culture of distraction and reorient our attention toward depth rather than surface, presence rather than performance. By understanding how modern life pulls us away from our inner resources, we become better equipped to protect and nurture them. Only then can we begin the journey back to ourselves, one mindful, aware and alert moment at a time. The consistent practice of alertness, awareness and mindfulness yields profound benefits, especially in enhancing mental clarity. Awareness enables us to understand the context and consequences of our choices. Mindfulness allows us to remain focused on the task at hand without being pulled in multiple directions. Together, these traits act as a mental cleanser, sweeping away the fog of confusion and distraction that clouds our perception. With enhanced clarity comes improved judgment. Many people struggle with indecision and doubt, not because they lack knowledge, but because their minds are cluttered. Practicing these qualities allows us to slow down, evaluate our options more thoroughly, and approach life's complexities with a calm, discerning mindset. Instead of rushing through decisions or being ruled by emotion, we begin to develop a thoughtful response to challenges. This deliberate way of living gives us a sense of control over our lives. In addition to mental clarity, the cultivation of these inner faculties strengthens emotional resilience, the ability to withstand, recover from, and grow through adversity. Life is unpredictable, filled with stressors, disappointments, and moments of uncertainty. A person who lacks inner strength can easily be overwhelmed by these experiences. But someone who practices mindfulness learns to sit with discomfort without being consumed by it. Someone who has awareness can identify their emotional triggers and recurring patterns. A person who is alert can detect early signs of burnout or anxiety and respond before the situation worsens. These abilities create a powerful buffer between ourselves and the storms of life. One of the key aspects of emotional resilience is the ability to respond rather than react. This is where mindfulness plays a crucial role. When faced with difficult emotions, anger, sadness, fear, a mindful person does not immediately act on impulse. Instead, they take a moment to observe, to breathe, to acknowledge what is happening inside them. This pause allows space for a wiser, more composed response, combined with awareness, which provides insight into the cause of these emotions, and alertness, which detects the early signs this practice leads to healthier emotional expression and more constructive behavior. Furthermore, these qualities promote self-compassion and acceptance, two pillars of emotional well-being. When we are mindful and aware, we begin to understand ourselves more deeply. Not only our strengths, but also our vulnerabilities. This self-understanding fosters a kind, non-judgmental relationship with ourselves. Instead of harsh self-criticism, we begin to respond with patience and care. This inner support becomes especially vital during difficult times. It enables us to persevere with grace, to learn from our mistakes without drowning in guilt, and to continue forward with hope rather than despair. Emotional resilience is not about never falling. It's about rising again with a clearer mind and a stronger heart. Ultimately, the consistent integration of alertness, awareness, and mindfulness into our daily lives lays a strong foundation for mental and emotional health. These are not traits reserved for spiritual practitioners or psychological experts. They are accessible to anyone willing to pause, to reflect, and to practice. Over time, they reshape the way we think, feel, and interact with the world. They help us develop a mind that is clear and focused, and a heart that is steady and compassionate. Through this inner transformation, we begin to navigate life with greater balance, courage, and wisdom. A life anchored in alertness, awareness, and mindfulness is not only more focused, but also far more fulfilling. These three qualities bring depth to every experience, transforming the ordinary into something extraordinary. When we are alert, we catch life's fleeting moments, the smile of a stranger, the rustle of leaves, the subtle shift in someone's mood. These are not just background details, they are the essence of life unfolding in real time. Awareness, on the other hand, allows us to understand the meaning behind what we notice. We don't just see events, we comprehend them. We feel their emotional weight, and we connect them to our own inner narrative. Mindfulness then gives us the discipline to remain in these moments rather than escaping into thoughts of the past or worries about the future. Combined, these faculties awaken us to a fuller human experience. Living this way also deepens our relationships. We start listening, not just with our ears, but with our full presence. Alertness lets us pick up on nuances in conversations. Awareness helps us interpret unspoken emotions. And mindfulness ensures we stay focused on the person in front of us. In a world where most people are only half listening while checking their phones or thinking about their to-do lists, offering full attention becomes a powerful act of love. It validates others, builds trust, and cultivates emotional intimacy. Relationships become more authentic and less transactional. We begin to engage with others not for what they can give us, but for who they truly are. Moreover, the integration of these traits leads to a greater sense of personal alignment and purpose. So many people drift through life without truly understanding themselves or what drives them. But when you live alertly, you're more likely to recognize the signs that point toward your calling. Awareness helps you decode those signs, identifying your passions, strengths, and the areas where you feel most alive. Mindfulness ensures that you remain committed to the present journey, instead of becoming obsessed with distant results. Purpose doesn't always arrive in a flash of inspiration. It often reveals itself quietly, through years of attentive living. This lifestyle also cultivates gratitude and appreciation. With mindfulness, you start noticing small blessings you once took for granted. The warmth of sunlight on your skin, the taste of fresh fruit, the comfort of a kind word. Awareness helps you grasp the impermanence of these moments, making them all the more precious. Alertness ensures you don't miss them in the first place. Together, these practices nurture a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity. You no longer feel like you're racing against life. Instead, you feel like you're dancing with it, moving in rhythm, attuned to its beauty and lessons. Choosing to live this way also leads to a more ethical, conscious lifestyle. When we are alert, we notice the impact of our actions. Awareness allows us to reflect on whether our choices are aligned with our values. Mindfulness ensures that we don't act out of impulse, but with intention. As a result, we make decisions that are kinder to ourselves, others, and the planet. Whether it's how we treat people, how we spend money, or how we consume media, we begin to live less on autopilot and more with thoughtful consideration. This conscious way of living not only benefits us, lastly, a life infused with alertness, awareness, and mindfulness brings peace. Not the fleeting peace that comes from distraction, but a deeper, more enduring tranquility. It's the peace that comes from knowing that we are fully present in our lives, that we are not sleepwalking through our days. It's the kind of peace that allows us to sit in silence without feeling the need to escape, to face challenges without crumbling, and to embrace joy without clinging to it. It is the peace of living life fully awake, fully engaged, and fully alive. Through this way of living, life becomes not just something we endure, but something we savor, learn from, and ultimately grow through. In the end, a life lived with alertness, awareness, and mindfulness is not just a more peaceful or productive life. It is a more authentic life. It is a life where we no longer drift from moment to moment, lost in distraction or driven by impulse. Instead, we become active participants in our own journey, conscious, grounded, and deeply connected to ourselves and the world around us. These qualities are not mystical or unattainable. They are human capacities, waiting to be remembered and reclaimed. So let us choose each day to live not just with our eyes open, but with our minds clear, our hearts present, and our spirits fully awake.